Hello, folks, and welcome to Sports Parents Are Us. I got to get in this frame here.
Okay.
It feels like, there you go.
There you go.
My name is Coach Derek, and I have been in the youth sports arena, both teaching, organizing, implementing youth sports programs now for, golly, it's going on about 26, 27 years now. And we are with Dr. Lori.
Yes. Hi, I'm Dr. Lori Baudino, and I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and a board-certified dance movement therapist, which means I use a mind-body approach where I'm looking at children and their parenting experiences, their challenges that they go through, and just not just talking, but actually helping them embody what they're experiencing for change and healing. And I work in private practice as well as providing therapy at bedside at local children's hospital. And also give support for teachers, schools, and sports. Just really keeping our kids motivated and seeing that our children are so capable, and there's such a beautiful way of looking at children. Now,
and I'm just going to throw this in real quick. The interesting dynamic that we have is, I'm just a coach. I don't have any children, and I know, right? And not only do you come with the educational background, but you're also a parent with active children in sports.
Yeah, absolutely.
So hopefully we can give you guys some tips and some guidance to help you.
And just to plug you back, is just that one of the things that I was really drawn to about Coach Derek Inc. and his programs are just really understanding children. So I just saw this place of, it's not just about getting these kids to be the expert at that sport, but that it's more of like really getting them to love athletics and physical education and learning a skill. So that's what I really appreciated.
Perfect.
Okay, so last week, we hope you tuned in, and you're always welcome to go back and check them out. Last week we talked about, I think, basically 5 different types of characteristics that a child may show on the field or at practice, whether it's like a specific temperament or behavior or kind of a movement quality that's unique to them, and how to look at them to support their individual differences.
Meeting the kids where they are is everything, but it's also, it can be difficult, right? You have 15 kids. Depending on the sport, whereas tennis or golf, chances are you're only going to have 1 or 2.
That's true.
But if it's a team sport, it's going to be difficult, but it's imperative that the coach has some insight and is able to meet the children where they are.
Right. So today we're going to be talking about your parenting philosophy. So what you believe at home and how does that translate onto the field? And is there a place to talk about that with the coach, or is it a no-go?
Yeah, it's true. Well, you know what? I've gotten this a lot from parents over the years. Is you know what? My kids just shut down when I try to give them instruction.
When the parent gives them instruction.
Yes, when the parent gives an instruction. If they're in the backyard or if they go to the park with a bag of balls, and they try to implement some things for their children to do. Yeah. There goes the shutdown. So. A lot of the moms and dads are like, just be a different voice. Just if you're a different voice. So they're kind of asking for you to be different than they would. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I'm thinking maybe we need to clarify for today's Facebook Live what we mean by philosophy. And so what I mean by philosophy is, there's different parenting styles. We can be as specific as saying there's permissive parenting, there's authoritative, there's authoritarian, and we want to have the kind of goal is to have that balance of that just right fit where you know how to set limits and help your child understand meaningful expectations, but also that you, meaningful expectations. Also that you meet them and you kind of have this mutual respect going.
Right.
But that's not to say there are a lot of families that also believe like they are the authority and that what they say goes and you do things because I said so, and they really believe in that. And that is, next week we're going to do throwback. I'll tell you after this. But kind of a way of how sports actually look like. Like the coach says something, you do it. Right. You don't get room to talk about your feelings. You don't get room to
you don't ask
kind
questions.
of play around. You just do what you're told.
Right.
Right. So there's different philosophies, but then I want to add into this philosophy idea is also kind of like how you know your child responds their best. So if you know that your child responds well when you kind of push them and kind of nag at them.
Right.
There was this great article just posted about, your child, one of the #1 correlations between a successful daughter was nagging as a child. Nagging them, so because they could hear that inner voice of their parent going like, oh, I should take my jacket, or, oh, I shouldn't go in that car, or, oh, I shouldn't do this, So anyway.
Makes sense.
So kind of like, how does your child respond? Do they need that little extra push, or do they need someone that kind of gets on their eye level and really engages them and gives them space? What works for them?
Right.
So
at home.
At home.
So. Right. Okay. So.
Sorry about that. I don't know if that cut out, so we'll come back in.
Okay. So let's. All right. So I show up.
Yeah.
First day of practice. All right. So now I have 7 kids.
Right.
All right. And we're in the middle of the, getting started. If all 7 kids are going from point A to point B, and they're on top of their game, and they're doing these things, and I got a little plan. I don't have any expectations. All right, because expectations, you're just setting yourself up for a lot of pain.
Right.
But everybody's flowing. Everybody's flowing. That's great. Now, if I have that one, maybe 2 children that are just kind of going off on the sideline, they're doing their own thing. I would go to the parent and ask, like, how can I, give me some cues.
Right. What works well for your kid?
What works well for your child at home?
Right.
Now, if your coach isn't doing that, how do you approach that coach?
Right. Well, I think all we can do is give some, I'm going to make sure that, sorry, my hand. I think all we can do is try to advocate for our kids. And I think it's about finding that just right balance of, maybe, I would say definitely not talking to the coach when he's right there, like setting up some time beforehand or afterwards, or kind of, even before, if your child has a specific way and that you have a specific way of parenting, kind of checking with the head of the program and saying, does my child fit here?
Yeah, because
is this the right team or activity?
Absolutely. Or if the coach is like, just watch the ball, and you see your child just crawling into a hole.
Right.
It's obviously not. It's not a good experience for your child.
Right. But that to say though, I've had these conversations with parents of we can set our children up for success too. So I have stories about swimming. With my own personal kids, I have stories about talking to them about certain sports that they're going to where, whether it's rock climbing or, anyway, the list goes on. But basically just knowing that they're going to go in and I'm going to tell them, like, this is an environment where they're actually not going to, they're not going to talk to you about how you feel about it. They're going to be very clear, and these are the expectations they're going to lay for you. And you have a mom that is here to talk about the feelings, and we can talk about them afterwards. And if you don't like it, we can make a change. Those kind of things. But when you're here, these are the expectations.
So that would be considered the pre-game locker room conversation,
right?
That you'd want to have with your children. Right. Don't just assume, is what I'm hearing, right? Don't just assume that your children are fully equipped emotionally to go into any situation with any coach and be able to rock it out.
Right. Especially if they come from a place where they're not used to having such a direct request of them.
It's huge.
And in sports, I my experience of it is that they can be so direct because it's for safety.
Yeah.
But safety doesn't mean that you have to be harsh and rude to a child. It could just be very clear. So I think there's a difference there. But if you get the sense that I don't feel comfortable the way that coach is talking to my child, I guess I would take it as like, don't assume that the coach is mad at your child or yelling at them.
Right.
But also take it as a sense of like, let me communicate. How can I help my child know that the coach has good intentions? Jeez. And also how can I talk to coach about, hey, when you're really loud, my child gets dysregulated and won't react properly.
And look, this is true. If you could see my right kneecap, I'm going somewhere, right? My right kneecap has almost like this callus of getting on one knee and meeting them at eye level, because it does matter how you present your next task, okay? And if you don't take that time as a coach, it's going to be hard for them to hear. If you show up in a ball cap and some shades, and you're telling them, and you're up here, I'm going to try to get in the thing, and they're down here,
and no check-in, like you didn't even like say, are they in a good mood, or can I be funny with them? What's this kid like? So some kids are like super funny. You can play with them.
Yeah.
Other kids are more reserved, and you got to give them some space to get warmed up.
And the check-in can be just as easy as what did you have for lunch?
Right.
What did you do this weekend?
What I think is so helpful, though, that I've seen you do, and just this is just a word to put out there, even for parents to talk to coaches about, is that first session. I remember one of your baseball sessions. You had all of us pulled over to the side, all the parents, and you said, before we begin, you go, I just want you to know I want only happy faces on your faces, no judging each other's kids. You kind of like laid it out. And then you're like, and if you have any concerns, come talk to me.
Yeah. Don't
start gossiping about it to each other about how bad you like or don't like me. Like, really check in.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of like weight was lifted off of us, and we felt like, okay. And then no one really had anything to say. Or maybe they did and they told you. Because
ultimately, we should all be on the same page, wanting the same thing, right? Which is we want to learn a little bit. We want to have a great time. And we want them to come back the next season. Right? So again, for me, I am open. If there's a better way, I can reach your child. If there are cues that you use at home, is your child the one that just don't make me a big deal? You don't have to call me out. You don't have to just let me go with the team. I need to know that, right? Because again, if you're volunteering. Or if you're a professional coach like myself, it is really important to know your audience. Yeah. You got to know who you're working with.
And I think what's also exciting about coaching in sports is that you can take a skill that's your child's or a preference that your child, and then work with the coach or work with your own child to talk to them about how they can segue out of that. So let's say they're the kid that doesn't want a lot of attention. Then like maybe one thing you set an intention where you're going to say, let's call on one thing that you did. Like let's bring some attention to it, just like one thing, or like they don't like being directly, like direct demands. But maybe it's like, hey, during this activity, I'm going to be very clear to you and tell you what's happening. I'm not mad at you, but this is what's going to happen.
Right.
And so the child gets to learn other skills, because that's one of the amazing benefits about sports. Is they're learning about problem solving, they're learning about communication, they're learning about sequencing, they're learning about reading different types of people. And the truth is, as much as we want to shelter and support our kids, there's a big world out there, and they're going to meet lots of different personalities and lots of different requests. And what's so incredible is that if they can adapt to all different types of people and different requests, but then choose what their preference is, that's what we want.
That's what we want. So this is how sports, again, translates. It's just bigger. It's bigger than that game. It's bigger than that practice, right? It's the playground. Right, during school, it's being able to make those decisions of, when you're 16 or 17, do I really want to get in that car?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be as personal, but we can advocate. So what we're kind of just wrapping up is we're saying you can advocate for your kids, talk to your coaches ahead of time about what their philosophy is, how they're going to run these practices. Set your child up for success by letting them know what the expectations are going to be. Set some playtime afterwards where they can have all that silliness or whatever they need that they can't get done in the practice time later. And then that it's an ongoing dialogue.
Exactly.
And you're helping your child expand their vocabulary, expand their abilities to adapt to all these different people and different experiences.
And hopefully the coaches are open to all of it.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want.
Absolutely. So next week, we'll be talking about, we're going to do a throwback back in time to old school coaching.
Throwback Tuesdays and old school parenting.
Old school parenting.
Right? Which is
and
what
we'll talk about it.
Right?
You all will get to chime in and tell us what you liked about it, what you don't. What should we keep from the past and what should we get rid of?
I love it.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
All right, so my name is Dr. Lori Baudino. Please visit my website, drloribaudino.com, and you can subscribe to my weekly newsletter. It's a moving moment. It talks about a brief moment of a session and really inspiring about this mind-body connection, as well as following me on social media like LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. I'm doing it, all of them.
Yeah.
And then keep writing us. Please, we want this to be relevant to what your questions are.
Absolutely. And CoachDerek.com. Check us out, see what's happening, and
Great.
see you soon.
Keep those kids in sports. Bye.
Bye.